Okay, so we're back. You ready to dive back into the Inferno?
Always. Things are about to get interesting.
Interesting is one way to put it. Canto IX starts with, "The hue which cowardy painted on my cheek when I beheld my guide turn back, repressed in him the new color of his fear."
Whoa, right from the first line, huh?
Dante doesn't mess around.
Right away, we're thrown into this, super tight situation.
Because remember, Virgil went off to find help, right, at the end of Canto VIII.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's back. Doesn't look so good.
Nope, not at all. Even Virgil, Mr. Calm, Cool, and Collected, is looking a little shaken up.
And I think that really gets to Dante. Like, if Virgil's scared, uh-oh.
Yeah, even the strongest among us can feel fear, right?
Absolutely. Especially when you're facing the gates of hell.
Exactly. But what I think is fascinating is that Dante, even while being totally freaked out, he's still so observant.
He's paying super close attention to how Virgil is acting. Even with his own fear, he's noticing Virgil's fear.
It's almost like he's finding some comfort in that shared experience.
Maybe. But unfortunately, a little shared fear is the least of their worries.
Because while they're waiting for, that divine intervention, some very special guests decide to make an appearance.
You mean the Furies?
Oh, yeah, the Furies.
Dante does not hold back on describing these ladies.
No, not at all. Covered in blood, snakes for hair, always clawing at themselves.
I mean, just reading that gave me the creeps.
I know, right? Pure nightmare fuel. But it's a very deliberate image, I think.
How so?
Well, I mean, the Furies are all about vengeance, right? In classical mythology. So they represent this, pure primal rage and anger. It's like Dante's showing us that things are escalating.
Their presence is not a good sign.
Definitely not. And it gets worse. They threaten to call on Medusa to turn Dante to stone.
Ooh, that's rough.
And Medusa isn't just a random monster here, she's symbolic. Think about it. We often say we're petrified with fear, right? Medusa represents that feeling of being so terrified, you're frozen, hopeless, you can't even move.
Oh, wow, I see what you mean. So Dante is not just in physical danger, but he's also in danger of, losing all hope.
Exactly. It's a powerful metaphor for the spiritual challenges he's facing in hell.
Because remember, the Inferno isn't just about physical punishment. It's about the internal struggle, too. The struggle against sin.
Dante's showing us how dangerous it is to let those negative emotions like fear and despair take over.
It's a good reminder for us, too. We can all get stuck in that sometimes.
Totally. It's like we get trapped in our own heads just as much as Dante's trapped in hell.
But just when it seems like Dante's about to lose it completely, someone shows up to save the day.
Talk about a dramatic entrance. This heavenly messenger walks across the river Styx. That's impossible.
It shows us that even the rules of hell can be broken by divine power. And this messenger doesn't just open the gate and say, "You're welcome." They give the fallen angels this epic tongue lashing.
I love that part, calling them out on their rebellion against God. Boom, divine justice.
And it really underscores that, even demons have to answer to a higher power. But then, and this is the part I don't get, the messenger just disappears. Poof, gone. They don't even acknowledge Dante or Virgil.
Yeah, no, right. It's kind of a funny image, isn't it? All that divine power, and then just
Right. But I think it also raises an interesting question,
what's that?
about divine intervention. Is it always this personal thing? Or can it be more like this force that moves through the world?
That's a really good point. It makes you think about how we perceive those moments of grace or whatever you want to call it. Do we always recognize them?
Exactly. It's definitely something to ponder, especially as those gates swing open and Dante and Virgil step into the city of Dis.
And remember, we know this is where the heretics are punished, people who rejected the teachings of the church.
But Dante doesn't really get into specifics yet.
He really knows how to keep us on the edge of our seats.
A little. But those gates are open now thanks to that, interesting messenger.
Definitely an interesting character, but we know this part of hell is for heretics. But remember, back then, going against the church was a huge deal. It wasn't just a difference of opinion.
Right. It was a direct challenge to, the entire social order.
Exactly. And Dante, well, he's surrounded by all these fiery tombs, and of course, he wants answers.
Naturally. So what happens? Does he get them?
Well, Virgil, ever the wise guide, tells him to, be patient. He says, look, Dante, you'll learn about specific heretics and their sins later. Right now, I want you to really grasp the concept of heresy itself.
So it's like a lesson in heresy 101?
Virgil's trying to make sure Dante understands the weight of what he's seeing, the theological implications.
Right, because this is hell, not just some philosophical debate,
Exactly. But as they're walking along, Dante notices something about the tombs.
What's that?
Well, some are way hotter than others.
Interesting. So even in hell, there's levels of punishment.
Oh, absolutely. Dante's showing us that the intensity of suffering matches the severity of the sin.
That's kind of scary when you think about it. Justice, tailor-made for each sinner.
As they keep exploring, Dante spots this tomb, and it belongs to the Epicureans.
Ah, the Epicureans. Eat, drink, and be merry kind of guys.
Live for the moment, because that's all there is.
Dante, being a good Catholic boy, he sees their rejection of the afterlife as a huge offense.
Oh, totally. Like, they're denying God's ultimate authority.
So what kind of punishment do these party animals get?
Dante describes their tombs as sealed shut. So they're trapped in this eternal darkness and heat. It's like being buried alive forever.
Oh, that's brutal.
And in a way, it fits their philosophy, doesn't it? If this life was all they believed in, well, Dante's giving them a twisted version of that, an eternity with no escape, no hope, just nothingness.
Whoa, what a journey.
And lots of big questions about justice, fate, and the meaning of life.
And just like Dante, we're left with more questions than answers, but I think that's okay.
I agree. It's the journey that matters, the exploration.
Absolutely. So until next time, keep reading, keep questioning, and keep exploring those deep, dark corners of the Inferno.